So I'm gonna be beating a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Violet using only shiny ghost types, which raises a ton of questions. 1, is this even possible? 2, are you gonna boost the shiny odds? 3, how are you ever gonna possibly get your first ghost while staying under the level cap of the first gym? And 4, is it even realistic to think you can beat the first Dark Team Star Raid against Giacomo, I have no clue how to pronounce this guy's name. Well, inquisitive viewer, I am here to tell you that this is very possible. I think I will not be boosting the odds. Instead, I will be allowing myself to use group shiny sandwiches to get better rates. There are several ghosts available in this game to shiny hunt before the level cap of the first gym. And finally, the Dark Team Star Raid isn't even the hardest content that we're gonna come up against. You'll see. Boo! Did it scare you? Yeah, it did. Well, you need to get used to it. It's gonna be a scary run. You know, because ghosts are spooky.
Terrifying.
First off, I picked the derpy chili pepper lizard, and then we're gonna skip the entire rest of the intro because there's no ghosts here and it's just an hour of mashing the A button. Let's get to the most important part of the run, assembling the early game squad. First up is the original ghost, or OG, Ghastly. Tucked away in these little ruins in the very first area you have access to, you can find spawns of the gas balls. And after about 7 hours of eating sandwiches and running around, we find our first shiny, catch her, and name her Sam. And as always, my nicknames have a theme to them, so if you know it, let me know. With our first team member locked in, it's time to start Operation Acquire Small Sword Boy from a low-level spawn, or Asphals for short. It's a working title, okay? I'd like to see you do better. The goal of Asphals is to shiny hunt on this cliff since it's one of the few areas where a fire-type sandwich will only spawn Charcadets, and where they can spawn at level 15, which is perfectly at the first level cap, meaning with a little bit of luck and some patience. Hey, blue-eyed Charcadet! Wait, no, get out of the way! Oh my god, and she's level 15? That is perfect. I had a backup plan if we found a higher level Charcadet, but this makes my life so much easier. With a shiny Ghastly and Charcadet, you might think it's time to take on the first gym, right? Well, no, you are absolutely wrong. We have one more hunt for a shiny Sableye, which happens insanely fast. Yes, shiny Sableye, let's go! Bro, why are you faking a shiny reaction right now? Yo, bro, can you calm down? I'm trying to do a bit here. Okay, yeah, sure, but the audience obviously knows it's fake. You're wearing the same shirt as you are in the intro. Whatever, get back to the video. I catch her, and even though this yellow goblin is already over the first gym's level cap, she has an incredibly important job of slaughtering innocent Sinistea until I have enough of their corpses to trade for the malicious armor, which I can use to evolve Charcadet into a level 15 Ceruledge, all before the first gym. Yeah, she's gonna rip. With our early game squad assembled, it's time for our first real challenge of the game. Nah, I'm fucking with you. We crush Katie. I randomly found the TM for Flamethrower before challenging her, but even without that, Ceruledge would have absolutely dumpstered this gym. So our next roadblock is the giant rock crab Cloth, because I'm not just taking on the gym challenge, I'm getting every single badge in this game. Gym, Titan, Team Star, I don't care, I want them all. Thankfully, Cerebi tells me Cloth doesn't even have an attack that can hit a ghost type, and that's true at first, but then it does drugs to get stronger and randomly learns Rock Tomb, and this tweaked out crab almost murks Ghastly, but thankfully Arven shows up to take some of the heat off of us, allowing Ceruledge to grab the KO. After the Titan battle, I find this shiny monkey who I named Danny, and now it's time for what some people have dubbed the run killer of this game. And surprisingly, it's not the 9 FPS Sunflora you have to collect as a gym challenge. But I want to make this clear, I would absolutely not fault you for rage quitting at this point in the game. These are terribly done. No, it's actually the second gym fight against Brassius, and it might actually be difficult since his Trudeau Widow has Rock Throw. Okay, no, I'm sorry, I can't even try to build up fake suspense here. Ceruledge commits arson against this gym leader. It's an easy fight. Now that we've conquered the first 3 challenges of the run, it's time to enact plan Acquire Small Shocky Spirit, or ASS for short. Okay, maybe I actually need help naming these plans. I'm not good at it. Now, you would think in this section I would just shiny hunt for and catch a Rotom, but for whatever reason, I decided now was a great time to catch 87% of the ghosts I'm gonna need for the entire run. So queue up a supercut. Shuppet, Sandygas, Bramblin, bonus Bramblin, and finally Rotom, all hunted for and caught. Yes, I got mega lucky and found 2 shiny Bramblins in the same sandwich, but I'm only gonna use the first one. Then I decided to go ahead and torture myself before moving on, so I reached out on Twitter and asked if anybody had a Hisuian Zora that they could trade me, and my buddy Trexo came through, traded me one, so then I let Zora and Mankey, you know, banged for hours on end while I'm trying to enjoy my picnic so they could generate hundreds of eggs. 9 hours of running around to hatch eggs later, and I was met with this little dude. Honestly, this is a sick shiny, and normal ghost typing is great. Also, I am banking on Hisui and Zoroark to make an excellent thumbnail. Next is another Titan battle, and the bad news is the skin flap this bird uses to drop rocks on its enemies makes me wildly uncomfortable. The good news is we found the TM for Thunderbolt, and Rotom literally just has to use that move a few times to fry this bird. So now we're on our way to what I assume will be the run killer, our first team star raid, and I am terrified. I'm not even sure if I can successfully get past the initial raid part of this challenge, but I can't think of a better way to prepare for a raid than the sponsor of today's video. You might be guessing it based on this lead up, right? Raid Shadow Legends. Let me thank them real quick. That's right, there is no better way I can think to prepare for a raid than through Raid Shadow Legends, because with over 700 unique champions, an in-depth and tactical RPG battle system, incredible graphics, and an intense combination of PvE and PvP content, there is something for everyone. Raid never ceases to impress me with the sheer diversity of champions, hours of gameplay, and the intense strategy required to beat some of the game's hardest contents, which, speaking of, every epic RPG needs an insane piece of in-game content, and for Raid, that's the Doom Tower. It's a massive prison containing some of the game's most insane bosses, and it's up to you to stop them from getting out. But be warned, many of these fights require specific mechanics to beat them, so they're not going to be easy, and it's going to put your team building knowledge to the test. On top of all of that, the absolute biggest things happening in Raid right now are all tied to the fantastic new limited series, Call of the Arbiter. The first 2 episodes are out right now, and I cannot recommend them enough. To celebrate, Raid is going to be adding some of the new characters from the series as in-game champions, and right now you can get the fearsome Orc Warlord Artak just by logging into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th. If you've seen episode 1, you will know exactly who Artak is, but I won't spoil that here. Trust me, just go watch Call of the Arbiter. It's worth your time, and there's going to be more events in Raid tied to it moving forward. With the intricate strategy, beautiful graphics, hours of gameplay, and all the hype around Call of the Arbiter, now is the perfect time to join Raid if you haven't already. And to sweeten the deal for you just a little bit more, new players can click my link in the description down below or scan the QR code on screen to get a free starter pack worth $30 with some insane loot to help kickstart your journey. We're talking 200,000 silver, 4 energy refills, an epic skill tome, an XP booster, and the epic champion Drake, who's a bit of a monster. Once you're in and crushing enemies, come find me under the username InVividColor, and hopefully we can be legends together. Just hit my link in the description down below and I will see you on the battlefield. After murking an astronomical amount of dark type Pokemon for a ghost type team, Giacomo comes out of hiding, and instead of just running us over with his massive car, he decides to handle things civilly with a Pokemon battle. I've been mentally preparing for this battle for weeks. I mean, I've been strategizing and theorizing how I was going to handle this since before I even picked up this challenge, and as it turns out, the answer was always incredibly simple. I just had to have a Ceruledge, teach her bulk up, and set up on Poniard, who has no moves to hit us super effectively, and then Brick Break is good enough to grab the KO on the chest piece, and thanks to our leftovers giving us some residual health recovery coupled with Protect to stall out turns for more recovery, I'm able to win the damage race against this actual car as Ceruledge lives on 5 HP. A close battle for sure, and any crit or high rolls ruin us here, but I played how I needed to win. I really thought this single piece of content was going to make this challenge impossible, but as it turns out, Ceruledge is just such an incredible Pokemon, and she just looks so cool. I mean, seriously, how can anyone deny this design? It is peak. Next, we head straight to Lavencia for a gym battle against the famous streamer Pokimane. No, I mean Iono, the famous streamer Iono. But before we can fight her, Nimona challenges us to one of the 47 battles she forces us into in this game, but Sandygast is out of the level cap prison now, and a couple earth powers tear through her rock puppy and electric rodent, setting the stage for Ghastly to take out her Florgato with a sludge bomb. Something I love about these games is the ability to find a ton of powerful TMs while exploring, because it speeds up the low stakes early fights like Nimona, while still leaving room for more important battles to be difficult like Iono. I do not have an apparent strategy for her team, and her Miss Magius looks problematic since after it terastallizes, it will have 0 weaknesses, but spoiler alert, I have a tried and true plan that just keeps working: Ceruledge. Ceruledge already had a great physical attack in Shadow Claw that she could boost with bulk up, but her speed was a little problematic for setting up clean sweeps. But with the new level cap, she has learned Flame Charge, meaning our hero can just sit in front of Wattrel at the beginning of the fight fight, bulk up, taking laughable damage from the bird's weak physical attacks, and then flame charge her speed stats sky high so that by the time Miss Magius hits the field, not only will a Shadow Claw one-shot, but Ceruledge will comfortably outspeed as well. I probably should have given her a Lumberry or a Cherry Berry to dodge Spark Paralysis, but the RNG was in our favor regardless. So we win our 3rd Victory Road badge, and as a bonus, Ghastly evolves into Haunter right after the fight. Before heading to our next raid, I trade Haunter to myself, unlocking the incredibly powerful Gengar, and Bramblin evolves into Bramblegast. The Tumbleweed won't do much in the Fire Team Star Raid, but we've got a plan for her soon. Also, around this time I find a full-odd shiny Tadbulb while just wandering around randomly to collect TMs and material, and I love this little dude so much. This does not affect our run in any way, but I wanted you to know. The next Team Star Raid looks really difficult, but we are somehow still deathless in this run, and I plan to keep it that way. We have a little bit of a precedent to hold up while using shiny ghosts, and if you haven't seen my other video using them, you should watch it after this one. After bodybagging all her goons, we challenge Mello, who leads off with a Torkoal that sets up the sun. Even though that is pretty spooky, I've come equipped with our literal sandcastle, and it's holding an Eviolite, and Torkoal only has a physical fire type attack, so my pile of sand soaks up the hits and takes the turtle out with a couple of earth powers. Sandy Gas did get a little low, so when Mela attempts vehicular manslaughter, I switch into Ceruledge for the fire type immunity, and then the AI gets stuck in a loop of clicking Screech over and over again because its only other non-fire type attack is Spin Out, which we resist. So once again, Ceruledge is truly the hero of our story. It was about this time I realized how much I'm favoring her in this run and thought it might be good to mix it up. Oh, right. Yeah, see, I forgot that was the next Titan fight, and really, I swear, I'm trying to quit Ceruledge, but I just love her so much, and I mean, what do you want me to do? It's a giant metal worm, should I just not let Ceruledge melt it? So Ceruledge melts it, but I swear we're changing things up for Gym 4, mostly because it's the water type gym though. Before heading for Koskarafa, I hunt for and find a shiny Oricorio, and then swap her form so she's spooky. I then go grab a shiny Sinistea, and Mankey plus Zorora both evolve, but Monkey is still not a ghost type, and Zoroark is actually in level cap prison right now. But the bird? Oh, the bird is a big part of my plan for the 4th gym. For Kofu, I'm pretty proud of the strategy I landed on. Oricorio gets to take the lead into the vaulting Veluza, and her only job is to set up a Tailwind, take one hit, and then U-turn into Bramblegast. The Tumbleweed comes in and gets an attack boost from the Tailwind thanks to its ability Wind Rider, and then a speed boost from a Trailblaze that takes out the Veluza. And then Bullet Seed, powered up by Loaded Dice, is enough to gun down the rest of Kofu's seafood buffet. Some of the most fun I have in these runs is getting to use unusual strategies, and Loaded Dice, Wind Rider, Bullet Seed, Bramblegast got me high, I swear. Poison Team Starfight against Atticus is next, and he leads off with a Skuntank, so in order to not immediately lose to this Pokemon, I have to employ the most base strategy of all time, PP stalling. My Gengar knows Spite, and the Skunk will always go for Sucker Punch into it, so I'm able to just not attack and use Spite to immediately get rid of all its PP for that move. Then I have to figure out how to deal with its Toxic PP, so I switch in and out between Oricorio and Gengar until I'm able to Spite all of that away as well. After this, I take the safe route and switch into Ceruledge, who is able to easily deal with the rest of Atticus's team after a couple of bulk up. Alright, look, I'm just gonna fess up, I can't quit Ceruledge. There's something in me, I can't quit her. I'm so sorry. Now I decide I'm in the mood for ripping my eyes out, so I hunt for a shiny Mimikyu and somehow actually find it after a couple hours, and it only cost my eyes several years of vision integrity. I also use the magic power of Picnics to somehow get this giant moth to teach Quiver Dance to Oricorio, which single-handedly transforms this bird from an early game powerhouse who will always fall off to an insanely powerful setup and support Pokemon. You'll see later. Primeape also evolves into the overwhelmingly powerful Annihilate, but he's stuck in level cap jail for now, so we'll get to him later. For now, it's time to go fight Larry, which is always a little bittersweet since I want Larry to thrive, but also we just gotta crush him. Larry starts off with his Kamala, and my response is Zoroark disguised as Sableye. I did make a massive mistake by accidentally attacking on the first turn, even though my plan was to use Spite, but it's pretty easily dealt with by Zoroark's Hyper Voice after spiting away all of Kamala's Sucker Punch PP. The Dunsparce comes out next, and with a moveset of Glare, Hyper Drill, and Drill Run, it can't even touch Rotom, so we're able to take it out at our leisure, and Larry's final Pokemon is a Staraptor that wears a diamond hat that also cannot meaningfully damage Rotom, so our little Spark is able to clean up the fight very easily. Nemona challenges us when we walk out of the gym, but her team is still soft, and we've got nothing but banger Pokemon. Seriously, just as an example, at one point we have our Ceruledge out on the field against her Goomy. Her Grass Cat is fully evolved now, but without a Dark type attack, it doesn't line up very well against our team. In preparation for our next gym battle, the Teacup and Sandcastle both evolve, but nothing else really happens, so we go directly to challenge Rhyme. This gym had a lot of potential because Rhyme uses ghost types, and this is the only required double battle in the entire game, but instead Game Freak thought you should just get free stat boosts every time you knock out one of Rhyme's Pokemon, making the fight considerably more easy than it should have been. The stat boosts coupled with stabilized dark type and Zoroark disguised as a Banette make this fight incredibly easy since the AI cannot seem to figure out why our ghost type Pokemon is immune to ghost type attacks. So I crushed through this battle without Rhyme ever breaking Zoroark's illusion. The next gym is back to back, and once again Nemona challenges us before we can take on the gym leader, but we get to show off exactly what I meant when I said Oricorio went from being pretty mid to an incredible support Pokemon by setting up a few quiver dances and baton passing them to Gengar for a very easy battle. The actual gym leader is Tulip, and I have a crush on her. This is not relevant information to the fight, I just wanted you to know. She's the psychic type gym leader, but manages to immediately throw us off by leading with a Farigiraf that cannot be hit by ghost type attacks and has insane coverage against our team. Annihilate finally gets to make his debut and is able to muscle past the Giraffe Zen headbutts with bulk up and drain punches. Gardevoir comes out next, so I switch into Sableye for free on a Psychic, and then go into Gengar for essentially free on a Dazzling Gleam. A Sludge Bomb is enough to grab the KO, and a Spothra comes out, forcing me to switch into Sableye again for the immunity. Sableye gets the kill with a 1-2 combo of Shadow Ball into Shadow Sneak, bringing out Tulip's ace Florges. A Moonblast will easily KO Sableye, so I switch into Ceruledge, tanking the attack, and a critical hit Shadow Claw on the following turn drops the now Psychic type Florges for the 7th badge. Iron Treads is our next target in the Asado Desert, and while this fight could in theory be really tough for my team, as you know, we now have Annihilate, meaning this fight is so easy. Really, the combination of Bulk Up, Drain Punch, and Rage Fist is a nightmare for like 90% of opposing Pokemon, so expect to see a lot of 8 moving forward. The final gym leader is Grusha, so let's just cut the suspense. Ceruledge commits arson once again, scorching every single one of his Pokemon with a combination of Flame Charge into a flurry of Bitter Blades. So we earn the 8th badge and move on to the final 3 challenges before the endgame, so let's speedrun them. We tackle the Fairy Team Star Raid versus Ortega first, and there's not a lot to talk about here because Gengar obliterates his entire team with Sludge Bombs. The final Team Star Raid against Airy is next, and I lead off with Oricorio, who is able to stall through Toxicroak's Sucker Punch PP by using Quiver Dance over and over again, and then once again Gengar gets a chance to shine here as I baton pass all of those boosts over, and a flurry of powered up Psychics is more than enough to wipe out Airy's team, even managing to one-shot her fighting type Car, which is the only time I've ever OHKO'd a Starmobile. With the Team Star Raids wrapped up, I have one more Titan fight against a piece of Sushi and a Dondozo, but with Bulk Up and Drain Punch to stay healthy and Rage Fist to do massive damage after taking a few hits, Annihilate turns this fight into a sashimi dinner quickly, winning us the final badge of the game and propelling us into the part of the game that I like to call one hard fight, not you, after another. We have some preparations to make, and believe it or not, there is one final shiny ghost I would like to grab before we beat the game, and it is surprisingly not a Houndstone. I know it's a new ghost type, and I got a dog recently in real life just to make myself a little more likable, but I'm gonna pass on the new puppy just because it doesn't add anything groundbreaking to my current rotating roster. Instead, the final ghost I'll shiny hunt for is this little dude. Now I just have to eat these fucked up sandwiches over and over again to spawn a ton of Chanseys, find a shiny Chansey, and evolve Dreepy in a Dracloak, then Dragapult, all while leveling up my team for the upcoming fights. And with that, we're ready. Let's tackle the endgame. We start off by fighting Headmaster Clavel, who's been helping us with the Team Star story the entire game, and his team is pretty frightening. I lead Ceruledge into a Rongaroo, and since I'm holding a Chesto Berry to negate the yawn that the monkey will always go for, I'm able to easily pick up the KO with a couple of Bitter Blades. Sinistea comes in, so I switch into Zoroark disguised as Gengar, and the disguise is enough to trick the AI into repeatedly using Shadow Ball, letting me set up a couple of nasty plots. From this position, Zoroark runs through the rest of Clavel's team since the combination of Bitter Malice and Hyper Voice are completely unresisted, making for an easy win. Now it's time for the Elite Four, and I am somehow in a run where I'm using only ghost type Pokemon, and I am still deathless, which I desperately want to hold on to. So I make adjustments and lock in a team of Zoroark, Oricorio, Rotom, Ceruledge, Annihilate, and Dragapult. Both Mimikyu and Gengar were close here, but I feel like these 6 give me the most diversity and best type matchups. The first Elite Four member is Rika, who uses ground types, so I lead off with Zoroark disguised as Dragapult into her Wish Cache, hoping to bait it into using a wildly inaccurate Blizzard, and it does, and it misses. This turn lets Zoroark set up a nasty plot for free, and then take out the Wish Cache and Dugtrio with Grass Knots, and the camera up with a Hyper Voice. Donphan survives a Grass Knot because of its sturdy ability and almost ends Zoroark with an Earthquake, so in an abundance of caution I switch into Rotom for the ground type immunity and KO the elephant with a Hex. And Annihilate is able to clean up the battle by bulking up behind a substitute against Clodsire and then whittling it down with Drain Punches. The Poppy fight is a little more brain dead in that I lead with Rotom into her Copperajah to land a Will-O-Wisp, neutering its attack stat, then switch into Ceruledge, who is able to bulk up a few times and melt her entire team with Bitter Blades. Larry is back at it again, but this time with flying types. Oricorio gets to make her Elite Four debut by leading into Tropius and setting up a few Quiver Dances. Then Air Slash takes out the Banana Dragon, forcing in Altaria, and I baton pass all of the stats over to Rotom, who's able to clean sweep the rest of Larry's team with Thunderbolts, taking us to the final Elite Four member. I lead off with Dragapult and have every intention of using him to sweep through Hassle's team. Dragon Darts on the first turn is enough to murk Noivern, and Flopple comes in next. I use Will-O-Wisp to cripple the Apple Dragon, but a Dragon Rush connects and still does well over 50% damage to us, meaning I did not run this calc correctly and I have to pivot strategies here. Thankfully, we have an Annihilate in the back, and in front of a burned enemy, we're able to bulk up behind a Substitute and run through the rest of Hassle's team with an insanely boosted Rage Fist, leaving just the champion fight versus Geeta. I lead with Zoroark into her Espathra, thinking a Bitter Malice will be a clean one-hit KO, but it is not, and we take a huge follow-up Lumina Crash to under half. A Hyper Voice to trigger our Throat Spray picks up the KO, but Geeta immediately goes into King Gambit, meaning my only real switch in here is Annihilate. I can't mess around and try to set up since King Gambit has an insane attack stat and Zen Headbutt, so a couple of Drain Punches grab the KO and Geeta sends in Go-Goat. And this is basically checkmate versus the champion. Go-Goat has Play Rough, but it's relatively weak, and we're able to grab a couple of bulk up boosts and heal close to full while taking the Goat out with Drain Punches. Rage Fist is now basically infinity power after taking so many hits, meaning that one after another, Geeta's Pokemon either fall to a Rage Fist or a Drain Punch, and we fell the champion completely deathless. If this were a standard Nuzlocke, we would have just won the entire run without losing a single Pokemon, but it's not over yet. In fact, the hardest battles haven't even happened. To wrap up the Path of Legends, we have to face off against Arven, who is really just trying to resolve his parental trauma, so I lead off with Sinistea into his Greedent, and after realizing I can't even touch it, I Strength Sap the Chipmunk until it is essentially neutralized. Mimikyu gets to come out, and since Arven's team is incredibly soft to Mimikyu's coverage and incredibly slow, we're able to set up a single Swords Dance and then run through his entire team with a combination of Drain Punch, Play Rough, and Shadow Claw. Now to wrap up Starfall Street, we have to fight the Evolution Master Penny, and her AI seems to really care about using Baby Doll Eyes, to the point where Mimikyu is able to murk her first 4 Pokemon with no pushback whatsoever. Then switching out to Gengar when she's down to just Leafeon and Sylveon, both of which Sludge Bomb decimates. That was a really strong send-off to the Starfall Street storyline, he said, not sarcastic at all. Seriously, this fight could have been really hard. What happened here? The penultimate battle of the run comes from none other than Nimona. We're a champion now, and she really cares about titles, so we have to challenge her to be the champion of champions, or the top champion. Maybe there's a topper champion, I'm not really sure. What I am sure of is I'm at the point in my life where I am so beyond tired of her constantly interrupting our gym fights and challenging us all the time that I decide to go ahead and do it to her. I lead off with Annihilate, and without a single shred of remorse start setting up bulk ups, and her team, which is incredibly soft to fighting type attacks, falls one by one to my Super Saiyan monkey. Her Meowscarada even had the chance to do serious damage with a Terrastal boosted Flower Trick, but didn't, making this fight an insanely one-sided 6-0. Now, only one challenge remains. If you've played through these games, you know that tucked away at the end of all of the separate storylines is probably one of the most difficult in-game bosses in the Pokemon franchise, AI Turo. There is a lot of exposition that leads up to explaining this reveal, but all you really need to know is that Arven goes from having parental trauma due to an absent parent to having parental trauma over a dead parent and an AI clone of them. It's actually a pretty compelling storyline, but we're not here for lore, we're here for war. In the final fight of our run, we lead off with Palossand into Turo's Iron Moth. On the first turn, we take a strong fiery dance, but murk the Mothbot 9000 on the crackback with an Earth Power. Iron Jugulus comes out next, and this is 100% the scariest Pokemon against my team. I switch into Mimikyu for the free disguise and lock into Play Rough on the next turn. We take a strong Flash Cannon and then we miss. We miss the 95% accurate attack. And because we are in range of both Flash Cannon and Dark Pulse, I have no safe switch-ins here. I lock into Play Rough again, and we outspeed because we were speed tied, but this glimmer of hope fades so quickly as the attack leaves the Jugulus in the red, and Mimikyu falls to a follow-up Flash Cannon. Rest in peace, buddy. Missing that attack cost us our deathless run, but winning that speed tie was probably pivotal for us to win this fight. I bring out Zoroark disguised as Palossand and outpace and connect a Hyper Voice for the KO KO and the throat spray boost. Iron Thorns comes out next, and a pair of Bitter Malices are enough to grab the KO while it just breaks my illusion with an Earthquake. This goofy ass robotic Delibird comes out next and quickly falls to a Grass Knot, sending in Iron Hands. So I answer with Palossand, who has been really beneficial in this fight. After healing up with a Shore Up, I drop the Iron Hands low with an Earth Power and decide to switch into my finisher Ceruledge to set up before Turo sends in his ace. Ceruledge gets a couple of bulk ups off while getting paralyzed from a Thunder Punch, and then a Bitter Blade scorches the Iron Hands into an early grave. It's down to Turo's last Pokemon, Iron Valiant, against the hero who carried us through so much of our run, Ceruledge. We take a Psycho Cut for barely a scratch, and in one moment, every KO that Ceruledge has secured in this run culminates into one final Bitter Blade that one-shots the Iron Valiant, winning us the battle and the run. We were deathless up to the very end, but I still consider this run a massive success. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by clicking that like button or leaving a comment. Also subscribe here if you're new. And if you haven't watched my other most recent hardcore Nuzlocke where I used only shiny flying types, you should definitely check it out because that run was insane. Also, I want to say thank you once again to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and helping me to continue making content. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you. Bye.